Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Do you love podcasts? Do you love interviews? Well, that podcast is for you. The OB Talkwire Show on Anchor Podcast, Spotify, soon to be Apple Podcast, and YouTube. Check us out. And welcome everyone here to the second episode of OB Talkwire. Hello everyone once again. I'm Ian O'Brien. It's good to be here with you all here on this second episode. Hope everyone's doing well. And be sure, remember, this is actually going to be a second episode because it's going to be uploaded, of course, before my next episode, which is already in process, as an interview with my brother, Michael Conkey, or as they call him, Kato. Now, why is that super exciting? Well, watch the interview once it uploads and find out. But anyways, this is just going to be a by-the-self interview over here. And first things first, I think I look like Pitbull in a way. Mr. Worldwide. Let's see, shaved head, glasses, sunglasses. Take them off real quick. Now I just look regular. I'm going to probably keep them on, actually. It's very sunny here. It's actually pretty hot, too. Let's look at the temperature right now. It's 81 degrees. Tomorrow, it's going to be 96. So, hey, if you don't like the heat in the gym and there's really no AC, get there earlier. That's what I'm going to do. Anyways, what we've been talking about so far and what I want to do again with this whole podcast, and I might have a few guests coming on here shortly. We know the singer Ivan, good man. Next Monday, be sure to catch, because we might have an interview with Director of Football Operations, Player Personnel, Cole Peterson, maybe a special guest by Coach Phillips. We'll have to see on that. Maybe Zach Crone, depending on what happens. He is, of course, a powerlifter, strength coach, I think, as well at Fitch. So it's going to be good to see what he can do in an interview about with weightlifting and form, technique, what you need to work on, basically every single second. Anyways, yeah, if there's a little lag issue, once again, I think that's just it opened up to OBS. I think that's just a little lag issue that will happen here sometimes. But anyways, let's real quick just talk about what's been happening. So far, looking at real quick the video game side of everything. Sonic Frontiers, they showed off a demo, and I want to say it looks pretty good. I like the Sonic Frontiers. I like open world Sonic game. I'm a big Sonic the Hedgehog guy, if you can't tell. I played the Adventure games, really good games, Adventure 1 and 2. If I have to pick a favorite, honestly, I would probably say, I want to say maybe Adventure 2 is probably better to me because of nostalgic, but if you're talking about story-wise and gameplay-wise, at least from the big three, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, I'm going to have to go with Sonic Adventure 1. I just like their levels more than I do in SA2. But SA2 is still a fantastic game, in my opinion, and the only reason it's my favorite is because, well, I grew up with it. That's pretty much the reason why it's one of my favorite, because I grew up with it. But now that we're talking about that, Sonic Frontiers is an open world Sonic game, in case you don't know, for those Sonic fans who are listening. And this game is going to be a lot more exploration than the other Sonic games. There's going to be, think about Sonic Boom, but a lot more detail, I should say, and cleaner, and you're not going slow in these big environments. There's a boost button, you can boost the speed. The problem is, though, is a lot of people are saying there's not a lot of environment around it. There's just one land. Maybe, again, it's the demo, but I've seen gameplay, and I think it looks pretty good. Again, it's not really so much of a speed section. Like, I would kind of wish, though, that they had the control of the adventure games back. That's what I mean. The control of the adventure games was unique in a way. Now, they would have to upgrade a course where everything was on one button at the time. Just make everything on, put them on separate buttons is how I would do it. But besides that, I think that if they want to go back to the adventure style, get that right, and we'd be good from there. Isuka is the head of Sonic Team, head of, not Sega, but Sonic Team in general. Sega's basically a carry. I mean, Sonic is basically the thing carrying Sega anyways. They have nothing else on the video game industry besides Sonic. That's what they've been carrying for the last 10 years at the latest, because, let's see, they had a Knights game in 07, and I don't know, after that, maybe a Billy Hatcher game, Someday Amigo, maybe. Jet Set Studio remix, maybe. I don't think they've had many of them. And that's the problem also, is that Sega's never finding like a new IP to work on. They have to keep on reusing stuff that they don't like, or that they like, but they make it worse in a way. So Sonic the Hedgehog, for example. Yes, the adventure games were awesome. Sonic Heroes, meh. I liked it, honestly. It wasn't the best, but it wasn't bad to me. It wasn't a terrible game. I think it passes as a solid game. But then Shadow the Hedgehog happens. And when I was a kid, I loved that game. But now it's just the guns, the controls. it's not a Sonic game. I know Shadow's starring it, but it's officially with the Sonic storyline. It's not my cup of tea. And then Sonic 06 happened, and here's the record. I've only played Sonic 06, I think, once. At, like, maybe my cousin's or something. On his 360. Not just what I've seen from gameplay. I mean, again, if they add it back on the PS Now store, or PS Now, because they've took a lot of games off, if they decide to add them back, I'll probably play it. Just because there's nothing really else to play right now on the PlayStation much. That's like my cup of tea, my genre. So I might play that a bit. We'll just see how it is. I think it's going to be a pretty good game. I mean, I think it would be a pretty good game for me to play, but I also think I would have to buy a new controller with it. I feel like I would throw my controller against the wall so hard that I would be spending my own money on a new controller and some new walls, and that would be a fact. But anyways, I just think Sega needs to get a new IP. They need to find something other than Sonic. Sonic Forces was average at best. Not bad, not good. Just in the middle, maybe slightly close to the bad side. I played Sonic Forces, and honestly, like, here's the difference. People want to say, oh, Sonic Colors was short like the levels of Sonic Forces. Difference is that Colors had more levels, I think, than Forces, if I remember. They had acts, too. And not only that, but Forces, I mean, Colors had a lot more platforming, a lot more different strategy where you had to get to place, different pathways. Forces doesn't have that. It's literally one linear line. Or in case you're playing the Classic or the Avatar, again, one linear line. You just go point A, point B, get to the glow ring. I mean, it's always been like that, but, like, there's no exploration. Every level is at least about 2 minutes, of some sorts, is what it is. It's about 2 minutes. So I'm hoping Sonic Frontiers would be a awesome game. I feel like that game would be spectacular in a way. Hopefully it's spectacular. Hopefully Sega team does their job, Isuka does their job, and that we have one of the best Sonic games in, God, how long? Years. Well, let's see. Unleashed was good. Colors I liked. Lost World was meh. But I think we would have the best Sonic game in years if they do this correctly. If we have correct enemies and not reusable enemies, if Dr. Eggman isn't even the final boss, if we have more enemies besides him, and we can actually fight all of them this time, unlike Forces where we couldn't even fight guys like we couldn't even fight Chaos or that fake Shadow in a way. So hopefully, this is better than what we had beforehand. Anyways, that's my Sonic rant right there. I hope you all enjoyed that part. Now let's talk about a little bit, I guess, of some sports in a way. So, I watched a NASCAR race at Sonoma. Decent race. Pretty good race, I would say. Daniel Suarez won. Congrats to him. The Amigo, the Mexican driver, the first ever Mexican to win in a NASCAR Sprint Cup race. That's pretty awesome. That's his first win in 195 starts, I think. He's been from team to team, Joe Gibbs Racing, Stewart Haas Racing, Gaunt Brothers Racing. Then, of course, Team Trackhouse with Pitbull and Justin Marks. And he ends up winning this race at Sonoma, which is awesome. But it occurred to me something. Clint Bowyer was MIA from the race. Now, there's been so much speculation about Clint Bowyer being MIA from this race. Some have said, he was just partying too late at night. He had a DUI. He just had to go sleep it off and say, I have a personal thing to deal with. Others have been saying, he might be... not DUI, but, drunk. Others might say he was arrested for DUI. Others are saying that he got fired from Fox and all that. Well, here's the thing. Someone said, apparently in the comments on Twitter, on replies on Twitter, that Clint Bowyer had been fired from Fox and they unfollowed each other. So I looked on I get my phone out real quick. I looked on Clint Bowyer's Twitter page, actually. Just to see that, yes, he hasn't tweeted in a while, but just to see that he was still followed and has followers and is still following basically everyone from Fox. You got everyone from Fox. You have, let's see, who else do you have? You have the Fox Sports PR, FS1. He's following all of them. So, if that were the case, I'm pretty sure that they would have said, hey, I'm pretty sure there would have been an unfollowing, and you wouldn't even see that from his page. I think what is that there's just personal stuff going on. I've been hearing his family's old, but so prayers with him if that's the case. But I'm just saying right now, there's no reason to speculate about Clint Boyer and his history or whatever's going on with him. If he does have an addiction or whatever, no, we shouldn't speculate. He's been at the booth. I know he's been criticized a lot this year for being in the booth. It's hard to be a broadcaster. It's hard to replace someone like Darryl Waltrip like he did a year ago or so. Yeah, about 2 years. Yeah, about a year ago. Hard to replace that because DW was just some type of different broadcaster. He was able to know a lot of the moves. He did and he was a little goofy too. I think the problem what they did with Clint Boyer, Fox Sports did here, is that they overused his goofiness. What do I mean by that? I mean, they want him to be goofy like DW. Clint Boyer's a goofy guy. He's a silly guy. But he's also a serious guy when it comes to the racetrack. And I feel like during that broadcast and during the whole pre-race and everything, they wanted him to be super goofy. I mean, like Goof Troops goofy. That's what I mean. Goofier than Goofy from Disney. That's what they wanted him to be. And it just didn't pan out right there. So maybe if they parted ways, there was a contract issue, I could understand that. But I don't think there's reason to speculate about Clint Boyer or his whole job situation. And besides, no one from Fox said anything. No, he did not die or anything like that. People are saying, no, he passed away. No, if he passed away, we would have heard it then and there about it from all sorts of media in NASCAR. But we haven't heard anything from that. I think Clint Boyer is going to be fine. If he does decide to part ways, he decides to part ways. Maybe becomes a team owner, a part owner somewhere at Stewart-Haas. But for now, I think that there's just, maybe stuff going on with family and he wants to take care of them. And besides, there's their last race on Fox anyways. They'll be probably back next year, and then we'll be, in fact, going to the NBC part in 2 weeks when they head to Nashville. That's going to be awesome to hear Dale Jr. again. Dale Jr. is a great broadcaster. I try and be a really great broadcaster. I do my best. I try and be myself. Dale Jr. can point out everything. Everyone's been complaining that Fox watches the monitors too much and they miss a bunch of wrecks, which is true. Dale Jr. doesn't do that. He looks at the whole track. He knows what's going on around. He'll point something out that the cameras will miss because Fox Sports doesn't know how to do their job correctly. That's just how it is. So, in my opinion, for someone like Fox Sports, someone like NBC, USA, they get better production. For Fox Sports, you gotta focus more on your team. I think the booth is fine the way it is, honestly. You could disagree with me on that. I think it's fine. Your production team, your cameramen, are horrible, though. You gotta replace all of them. You gotta replace them with people who actually care. Everyone's looking for a job now, especially in the sports industry. It's hard to get a job in the sports industry. But they're looking for an opportunity to try and get their foot in the door, to try and get people to look at them, to try and get production, and also to try and make a living for a change. They just want to get some money. They want to get a place to live. They want to make a family. So why not get this crew over here, the camera crew, not even the pit reporters. Pit reporters are fine. The camera crew, you got to replace. The production, you got to replace. Why do we have so many shots of kids? Fox was like that before, but it's worse now. You have all these kids in the stands, and they keep on panning to them. They keep on shooting at them, and I get creeped out about it. Why are we doing that? It's not even mostly adults now, as I'm hearing like a bird or something up there. Hopefully it doesn't decide to take a dump on my head. That would be a horrible situation if it did. But in this situation, anyways, talk about that for NASCAR. Gotta look at the picture. The Boyer's fine. For Fox Sports, replace your whole team, keep it the same. And I think it's good next year. I like some of the broadcasting things of Fox. I like the crew too. I like how you have a rotating third person. If Clint Boyer does decide to leave, you have, I think, Jimmy McMurray filling the role, and he's really good at his job. You could get another third-rate rotator there, or put Larry Mack in it. And it could be Joy, Larry Mack, and Jamie. And I think that'd be a really good combo right there. Again, you're never going to see the original trio, unless they do it for a throwback race next year. But I think that would be a pretty good trio. I also think Clint Boyer in there is fine as well. Clint Boyer actually brings pretty good insight for what I've been seeing. I know he's goofy. People don't like that, but he's been having some good insight on some races. I think Clint Boyer, if he does come back, all he has to do is not interrupt people, not talk over them, and I think he's fine. That's something I struggle with too. If you watch the Luke Papolo show, episode 18, by the way, shout out to LP Money, because I was on his podcast recently. I was talking about this podcast I was going to make, and LP Money, his podcast is doing great. He's had a bunch of guests on, and we're going to do the same here with our show. We're going to have tons of guests on here coming up. So, we'll have to see what happens with that. Anyways, other things to talk about over here. How about some USFL football? So USFL's going in the playoffs. I think it's like 4 teams, maybe? Something like that, 4 teams? Yeah. So it's weird, because it started with 8 teams, and then it just cuts in half to 4. Now, all year long, they had all these at Birmingham. They had them all at Birmingham, basically. So, since they all have them at Birmingham, now they're all of a sudden going to move them to Canton? It's weird. It's weird to me. And again, they were trying, I think, to replace them, trying to put them in different parts. I mean, they were trying to put them in different stadiums, but of course, they were scheduling all this last year when the whole COVID thing was still going around, which is stupid, by the way. But anyways, they're still scheduling all of that here and there and everywhere around. And they just decided, we're going to play at UAB Stadium. Now, they're going to shift them over here to Canton, which is like an hour from where I am. That means, if I wanted to, I got enough time, I could just make a nice little trip up, watch the playoffs over here, in a week or so, and enjoy it. I think that would be, honestly, pretty good. I would like some USFL football to watch. Again, USFL football, I don't think it's the best type of football, honestly. It's far from the best. I think it's pretty good, honestly, though. And I just think, in my opinion, you would have a bunch of different aspects about it. I think you have to somehow find some better athletes, some better talent. I mean, look at your first overall pick, for example. That's Shea Patterson right there. Decent quarterback in Michigan, don't get me wrong. At least his first year, maybe. Or at least when he was first at Michigan, I should say, because I think he was at Ole Miss before that. But afterwards, I don't know. It just, he couldn't get anything really going, and then he gets drafted first overall by Michigan Panthers, Jeff Fisher's team, and he gets cut. Literally in, the 3rd or 4th week, because he was playing bad. But at the same time, if you're Jeff Fisher, again, you are, a coach? I mean, you're a former NFL coach that made it to a Super Bowl. You can't even win one more game now. I mean, we all kid about Jeff Fisher finishing, 7-9? 1-7 ain't even that better, or 1-8 now, I should say, ain't even that better. So, I don't know, Jeff Fisher, I mean, backwards hat guy now, the enemy towards Vince Young. His time might be up with the Michigan Panthers already after 1 season. That's going to be interesting to find out what happens right there. But you see a bunch of the teams over here that are, in fact, in the USFL, and I'm going to go to the playoffs over here, everything that's set. So the first game is, in fact, going to be... So first game right over here, because they're all set 1 week from now. That is, in fact, going to be at 3 p.m. The Stars versus the Generals, and then the Breakers versus the Stallions. And the Birmingham Stallions, they have home field advantage this whole time. They're from Birmingham. They basically don't got to move anywhere. They don't got to travel really anywhere. That's why they're so good. They're the home team. They always have home field advantage. Even if there's barely any fans there. They just know right away that they have home field advantage, and that's their turf. That's just how it is. But the Stallions are pretty good. They've had a bunch of really good players, too, that we've been seeing here. Some of these good players, once again, if you look right now at the Birmingham Stallions, trying to find a lot of their guys. Stallions, once again, 8-1. They end up being the Breakers the first time around, 22-13, and the second time around, 10-9. And, I mean, 213, 151 points-wise is incredible. So, you also have to look at Jamar Smith from Louisiana Tech, by the way. He was a good quarterback at Louisiana Tech, too. I've seen some of his highlights. He can He's shifty. He can run a lot. He's really good. But you got to watch out for him. He's going to play a big game. 10 TDs on the year. Then Breakers had Kyle Slaughter. 11 TDs, only 11 interceptions to 9 touchdowns. Not the greatest. But then again, that's why you have a good rusher, too, for the Breakers, and Jordan Ellis, who has 564 yards in only about these many games this year. Only a few selective games, basically, this year. So they've been all really doing a great job with everything, I feel like. You have both these teams looking to get something going. Generals, and then, of course, you have the Generals and the Stars the next game. Generals 8-1, the Stars 6-3. Generals, of course, beat the Stars 24-16 in Week 3. And then in Week 10, for semifinals matchup, they ended up, I think they ended up actually lost that one, if I remember clearly. Well, I should say they didn't lose it, my bad. They meet again, but you get the idea. They might lose it. Because I feel like that before semifinals matchup, they're already locked in. They're going to rest everyone. It's going to be probably a field goal type of game. All these games have been low scoring, but tell you what, they've been fun because a lot of them have also been coming at the last minute. And if you're a Gamblers fan, you don't like the last minute call because every single time it's literally the fourth quarter, they just give up a lead. It's hilarious, but it's also frustrating if you are a Houston Gamblers fan. Gamblers fans, I am sorry for you. I'm super sorry for you Gamblers fans, but that's pretty much what it is right there. The USFL, again, do I think the league can compete with the XFL when it comes back or anywhere else? I don't think so. I don't think it's really going to come back. But, I don't think it's going to be to that level of the XFL and, of course, not the NFL, because especially since the XFL and NFL have this partnership going, those players can easily just sign different times with the XFL or the NFL, depending on what happens, since there's a big partnership, and the USFL doesn't have a partnership with any of those leagues. And I think that hurts the USFL more, and then makes a big advantage there to the XFL, in a way. Plus, I also think the XFL just has, I want to say, a lot better. Again, the whole thing with the stadiums. Again, I can understand because COVID, but still, like Alabama doesn't care about. They don't care about COVID. They really don't. So I feel like they would have been fine anyways. Try and maybe go to somewhere else. I know Pittsburgh maybe would care a bit, but again, they were able to have games, full stadiums at Heinz Field this past season. So I don't know why they couldn't really put it maybe at like the Pitt Panthers Stadium during the spring or something like that for the Maulers. That's just my guess on it. I think next year, if the league, because I think the league's going to come back, if it's successful enough again, if they get more money, which I think they've been getting in, then I feel like they will, in fact, have a lot of more stadiums. They'll get some more contracts going with different stadiums. And they'll have just a lot more revenue in general. I feel like if you put them in different stadiums, because not everyone's going to travel to Birmingham every week, or even Canton, Ohio, for a playoff game, or a championship too, for that matter of fact, you're going to have a lot more fans. I think it's not going to be like a college game or NFL game, but you're going to have a decent number of fans in that process, and I think that's going to be beneficial to the USFL. But I'm hoping that we see a better product on the field and even better coaches. Look, Mahler's coach, fired. He released some dude. Yeah, he maybe had bad behavior before, terrible behavior. Maybe we see it all the time from different players. Look at my shirt. It's T.O., for example. I love me some me. Like, T.O. was a horrible team. He only cared about himself for the most part. But he stayed, and he was with how many different teams? You don't even count that last year with the Bengals. He was 49ers, Philadelphia, Cowboys, and then, Bills, and then Bengals. Yeah, so 5 different teams. But he was there for like 3-some years. What they did for this guy over here, the run back used to go to Howland, by the way, which is right just about 15 minutes from like where I am. He basically released him because, it was a final straw over a piece of pizza. Over pizza? Look, I understand chicken salad's healthy, But I don't think you get a lot of protein from a chicken salad. You know what I mean? Vegetables are good, but I feel like a little pizza right there. What if he got a pizza and a chicken salad, though? Would he have still been released with that, I wonder? I'm wondering if that happened, would he have still been released? If he got a pizza with the chicken salad. It's going to be interesting. That would be interesting to see. But this is a little bit, once again, of a shorter episode over here. I think the last thing to really talk about, honestly, would be the NBA Finals for last night. I mean, Andrew Wiggins puts up an amazing game after Steph Curry shoots, over 9 from 3. Andrew Wiggins, a guy who everyone thought was kind of a bust, drafted by the Cavs and then traded for the Timberwolves in 2014 for K-Love, which started that whole 3-1 run 2 years later for the Cavs, by the way. Everyone, I think, writ him off, wasn't doing much on the team. Of course, you had Cat, who was there, but he was a little injury-prone sometimes, so Wiggins couldn't really do much, too. And no one thought he was going to do anything this past season, especially for how it was last year, too, with, I think, Curry hurt a little bit, and it was mostly Wiggins in that playing game for Golden State, and they lost, I remember. But it's good to see success from Andrew Wiggins. I like Andrew Wiggins. I liked him at Kansas. Good basketball player. He just needed a chance. He got his chance over here. And this also proves that the Warriors, once again, would have been winning nonstop even without KD. Look and think about it. KD kind of kicked himself in the foot here because he liked the Warriors. He liked winning with them. Don't get me wrong, but those 2 rings, my nose is itchy. No, I'm not picking it, everyone. It's just the top of it's just really itchy. And I don't know if like something's on it or whatever. It's allergies, by the way. But anyways, Kevin Durant he whines. I mean, he basically whined about Draymond Green not being a good teammate. He didn't want him there, and that's why he kind of left for Brooklyn. And now look where Brooklyn was. You had Kyrie Irving couldn't even play. Again, a stupid rule because wasn't vaccinated for like half the season, and he's not vaccinated still, I don't think, and he couldn't play. Again, stupid rule, but rules are rules. It is what it is. I know I hate it too, but anyways, Kyrie couldn't play. They trade James Harden away because he felt uncomfortable. He hated that team. Another ball hog right there, by the way. Trade him for Ben Simmons, who doesn't even play in the playoff. He doesn't even get a chance to play, by the way. He does it because he says because of his back and he needs to get surgery, but he looked fine doing everything else. He looked okay doing different other things. If you're looking at the standings right now, remember, here in the East, I mean, remember, they played, I think it was, they played Charlotte, it was, the Nets did. So, you could have, I mean, and they beat them, but then it was, they beat them, or excuse me, it was the Cavs, I meant, they beat the Cavs in the play-in, but then, of course, the Celtics, it's like, they lose to them. It's just, again, super teams sometimes don't work out. Not all super teams work out, as you saw right there. You got the Cavs nearly beat them, blew a lead, and then you got the Celtics basically picking them up all the time. Celtics beat them, it was in a 4-0, early 4-0 series. Now, mind you, those games were close, but those only counts on horseshoes and hand grenade, and KD got the short end of the stick right there. And he's watching Golden State now possibly win another championship without him. So, well, that's on KD right there. But anyways, everyone, I hope you all love this podcast over here. Episode 2, mind you. Just a little rundown of everything. I don't know what I'm even going to title this. Probably The Glorious USFL or something like that. Why not? That could be a nice title for it. Or I Love Me Some Me. That could be a title just to throw everyone off. Why not? That might be it, in fact, too. But anyways, that's it for the broadcast, everyone. And remember, episode 3, we'll have Michael Conkey on. We're going to have a lot more guests coming on. Michael Conkey. Cole Peterson's going to be coming on. Director of Player Operations and Player Personnel, YSU. Zach Crone, possibly, too. Ivan, we might have him come on. Shout out to him. We're going to get a bunch of people, some shout-outs over here that might be coming on. We might have some coaches come on, too. You never know. Anyways, everyone, thank you all so much for tuning into the podcast. And remember, you can follow me on YouTube at OB Talkwire, or you can also follow me on Spotify, which is on Anchor, and many other sites. And soon to be possibly Apple Podcast. Thank you, everyone. Bless up. Have an awesome week. I want to thank everyone for tuning in once again. Our good old sponsor for today's episode is Liquid IV. Not really, but we hope so in the future. Anyways, be sure to check out this episode once again, play it back, and check out episode 3, the upcoming episode. Thank you all so much, and have a great one.